this is Jonathan. Today we're back out at the garage and I wanted to show you what has been happening since the last time I climbed the ladder. So stay tuned and we'll show you what's happening. Before I let you go, if you wouldn't mind helping us get out in front of more YouTube folks, if you hit the like and or subscribe buttons, then that will let YouTube know that you are enjoying the content, and it will make it available to more people. So again, we appreciate your support with that. Now here's the video. I'm on the south side of the garage. It is April 23rd, 2023. I am going to remove the debris from the top of the Valor gutter guard micro mesh system that's here on the south side of the garage. You can see some of the flower petals. You can see some pine needles, a few other things up here. I already actually took a couple things off before I remembered I needed to video this. So I will take the stuff off the top, then we will take the cover off and we'll remove the debris from inside, and then we will calculate the two together, individually and together, to arrive at the total amount of debris that was remaining with this system at the conclusion of the test. And we will continue to do that for all of the gutter guards, both here on the south and the north side of the garage. I already took the debris off the top, so we're going to reveal the underside of it at this point and see what got inside of it. This is the alternate installation method, so it's a panel that was long enough that I could slide it up under the first course of shingles, so I flattened the back on it. Let me just pull the panel out and I'll show you what I did here. Okay. So you can see here it had a 90-degree turn on it. At one point I just flattened the back on it, and that gave me enough room to slide it up under the first course of shingles. If we look at the underside of it, you'll see some pine needles and stems from the locust tree sticking through there. So that's stuff that had kind of passed through the screen and had not yet made its way all the way into the gutter. Looks pretty clean overall. And this one, being up underneath the first course of shingles, looks a whole lot better than the one on the north side, which was full of stuff because we installed it correctly on the north side. We changed the installation method on the south side, and clearly going up under the first course of shingles made this system operate a lot better, at least on the exterior. I'm not sure about the interior yet, but we'll toss this to the ground and then we'll take a look at what's inside there. Okay, so here we go. Here's the inside of the gutter. So you can see some leaves that have passed through. Honestly, I would say most of those leaves that kind of passed through have probably blew in from the side. The holes generally are not large enough to allow that stuff to come in through the top, but the pine needles and the stems off of the locust tree, and then so the stems that would have come in would have brought the leaves potentially. So that stuff could have blown in from the side, but definitely the pine needles and just the gunk that's inside the gutter would have come in through the screen itself. And here's where the downspout sits, and there's where the downspout sits on the top. So you can see that that's covered up. I guess if I'm looking again kind of for the water line, you do see a water line right here, and that's maybe 3/8 to half an inch off the base. So that would just be more indicative of heavy rain waters and vacating out of this downspout quickly enough, because you got all that stuff sitting on top of it and you got a little bit of water that built up inside, but overall not very much. So again, I will take the stuff out and we'll go ahead and get that weighed and measured. Okay, this is the debris we took out of Valor on the south side of the garage. So this was in position 1, S1, 42323. This was the interior contents. You can see pine needles, you can see some locust leaves, you can see a lot of dirt and stuff that has kind of decayed over the course of the year, plus blown off the roof. Here's the interior of the gutter. I got most of the stuff out. So good representation of what was in there. Again, Valor on the south side of the garage. This is the reverse cheese grater on the south side of the garage. I am going to now remove the debris that is either sitting on top of the screen or inserted within these holes, wedged in these holes. So for instance, there's a leaf there or a seed pod that's been there for quite a while. Not much stuff sitting on top of it. I'll take that stuff off. Some of these flower petals I'll try to get off, but as a practical matter, from a weight perspective, they don't really mean much, and don't really think that they're going to get in the way, but if I can get them off of there, I will. Otherwise, we will just take the big stuff off. Okay, we're going to pop this off now, the reverse cheese grater. Get it out. And there we go, in caps. So the screen itself is in pretty good shape. You can see maybe a little bit of stuff sticking through on the back side. A stem or two off of the locust tree. Just some general debris, flowers, etc. that kind of work their way through those slots on the top, but you kind of see how those louvers work. So I've been saying upside down cheese grater all year because this is what a cheese grater would look like, generally speaking. So it would just be the reverse side of that. I'm going to toss that to the ground. We're done with that and reveal what we have inside here. So a lot of leaves and pine needles, mostly. A few stems off the locust tree. And dirt and what have you off the roof, and anything that's kind of decayed over the course of the year. Here's where the downspout opening is, and here's the downspout there. So you can see how that is pretty well clogged up. Just kind of looking for similar water lines that we've seen on some of the other systems. You can see just a little bit down there, maybe 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. Water line there, so it doesn't look like maybe it's been as bad as some of the other systems, but you can definitely see what has gotten inside over the course of the year. So I will pack this up and put it in a baggie, and then we'll go ahead and weigh it. Here's the debris out of the reverse cheese grater S2 on 42323. You can see I got most of the stuff out of there. Looks pretty good inside. And you can see what got inside here. So a lot of pine needles, leaves, and some stems off the locust tree, the leaves off the locust tree, and then just other general gunk that has decayed over the course of the last year. So again, that is a reverse cheese grater on the south side of the garage. Here we're looking at HydroFlo on the south side of the garage. So I'm going to now remove the debris off this screen, and this one appears to have the most debris sitting on it by a long shot. So I will start plucking this stuff out of here as best I can and put it in the baggie, and then we'll calculate it here at the end in terms of how much debris was sitting on top and then how much debris actually got inside the gutter guard or into the gutter. Because the HydroFlo has so much small stuff sitting on top of it, I'm going to remove the gutter guard and then dump the contents into this bucket to get an idea of how much stuff was on here. I took all the debris off earlier today, and I've unscrewed it. I just loosely placed it back up here. So I'm going to pull that off now, and we will see. So you can kind of see the end caps that I put on here using that screen. A little bit of debris remains on top, but I was able to get most of that off this morning. I'm gonna throw it down there, and then we'll take a look inside the gutter. So what you see here is mostly dirt. You know, there are a few locust leaves, and it's quite possible that those were kind of wedged up back behind the gutter guard because it has a little 90-degree turn on it and has just fallen inside there. But you definitely see some of the pine needles. The other thing that you see, like on some of these other gutter guards, is you see a water line. So it's clearly evidence of water building up inside this at some point over the course of the year, and that is an indication that enough stuff had gotten inside the gutter at some point to clog up the opening. And as you can see where that screen is right now, it is pretty well covered up. So while there is no water in here currently, it clearly is an indication that water has built up inside the gutter over time. And while it's not nearly high enough, it's about halfway up. At least this version of what I saw is only about halfway up the gutter, so you need another roughly 2.5 or 3 inches of water to start overflowing the gutter guard. But there was a rain in the spring last year, so sometime around this time last year, when we did see water kind of cascading over this end, and I don't recall if it was water inside the gutter that had built up all the way and it was just kind of spilling out at this end, or if the water was just kind of cascading. It wasn't getting inside the gutter guard fast enough. But at any rate, this is the interior of the HydroFlo on the south side of the garage. I will go ahead and clean this out. This is the underside of it. You can see some of the pine needles as they've kind of pushed through. Now I pulled all that stuff off that I could off the top of it, so there were probably more that were sticking through ultimately. But here's the opposite side of it. So a little bit of remaining stuff there, but I was able to get most of it off without too much trouble. But here's the inside of the gutter itself. So a fair bit of debris kind of worked its way through. Obviously some shingle granules, small stuff, but ultimately it decays and it turns into mud here. So what's interesting is here's the opening into the downspout right there, where you can see that screen. So we put a screen inside here to try to capture as much stuff as possible, and that has really kind of built up inside there. So I'm actually a little bit surprised. I guess I'm not entirely surprised. You can see some of the pine needles that have also pushed through. If this were just an open gutter, I think all that stuff would have shifted out of there without any real issue. But it does go to show you what happens once stuff gets inside the gutter and it cannot vacate through the downspout properly. So it'll be interesting to see how this compares to some of the other systems that we have up here. Okay, so this is the HydroFlo system, the interior of the gutter. That's the debris I got out. You can see there's a little bit of stuff left in here like the other systems, so got the vast majority of it out there. And again, I just want to highlight that water line. You can kind of see where the water has built up over time. So there have been various instances in heavier rains where the water definitely grew inside the gutter, which means that this opening was clogged sufficiently that the water was able to build up inside the gutter. And this is a micro mesh system, so it goes to show that not all micro mesh systems are made equal. This is the open gutter on the south side of the garage. You can see it has a lot of stuff inside of it, so I'm going to take that stuff out now, try to get this cleaned out as much as possible, and we'll calculate the debris. But obviously there's way more stuff in here than there would be in any of the gutter guards. So I think the takeaway from this is, in this environment, any gutter guard is going to be better than no gutter guard, because a lot of stuff is going to fall into these open gutters, and you're going to have to clean that out at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a year in this particular environment, maybe 4 times a year. This is the RainDrop system on the south side of the garage, and you can see there's really not a lot of stuff currently sitting on top of the screen itself. What I've been curious about all year long is how much of that stuff got inside the gutter. It may have decayed, largely decayed at this point. If you have pine needles in there, then that stuff should still be intact, but I would think any of the other leaves and debris would have decayed and turned into dirt or mud-like substance at this point. But in terms of what's on top, there's not going to be much for me to pull out of this system. So I will go ahead and do that now, and we'll put it into the baggie, and if we can come up with any weight, I think it'll be negligible in this case. We will let you know what that is. So I've already taken the material off the gutter cover. I'm now going to unscrew this and see what's inside. So I am probably most interested in this one because I haven't seen it before, and just want to see how much stuff remains inside that, because you can see there's a reasonably wide slot here, so I can easily get the blade of my scraper into that slot. So it's certainly not going to prevent certain things from getting inside. Big leaves won't get through there, but pine needles and those smaller locust leaves and the flowers that come off the locust tree definitely can get inside here. So give me a second, I'll unscrew this, and then we'll take a look inside. Here's the big reveal. I'll just see if I can pop this up. So hard to do with one hand. There we go. Get underneath that. Oops. We'll pull this out. I've got an end cap here at the end, so it's inside the gutter a bit. That was to try to eliminate stuff from getting inside from the edges. All right. There we go. So here's that panel. It's a longer panel. It slides up under the first course of shingles, and you can see it's a combination of vertical slats and horizontal slats, and that kind of holds everything in place. It's a 3-foot section, so I had to add another section here. But let me put this to the ground, and then let's take a look inside. So big difference, and this is what I had wondered about with this system, is how much stuff was going to get inside of it. Get rid of that. So I would say a fair bit of stuff got inside this stuff. In fact, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. If you just look at the solid gutter cover that we just took off, and you look at this one, wow, that's I don't know what I was really expecting, but that is more than what I was expecting, I guess. Because the other ones, it's mostly dirt in there, which is my assumptions, a combination of the shingles coming off the roof, plus organic matter out of the sky, plus any of these leaves and debris that decay. But you can see there are a lot of leaves in here that have not decayed, and it's very wet inside there, so a lot of that has been retained by the debris that's in here. The screen itself is over the downspout opening right here in the middle, and there was a point in the spring where I heard this drip coming out. It was like every, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds or something, I heard a drip coming out of the downspout, and it happened to be this one. So there was a point in the spring where the water had built up inside the gutter, and in fact you can probably see this as a water line here. I can't say that definitively, but you can definitely see it kind of going all the way around here. So my guess is when it's raining, we're getting a water line at least to this point. And I would say that here's another reference point here. And I know for a fact I've seen water inside this thing. It's hard to see inside of it once the with a screen on top, but there were a couple times I peeked inside and I thought I saw water inside here. So that would be indicative of, you know, water building up inside there and then kind of slowly draining out of the system. Obviously, other than the moisture that we have in the debris currently, there's not really anything that's indicating that it's holding water at this point. You can see I got most of the stuff out of here, and there was a lot. There was basically a whole baggie full and then a bunch of stuff on my hands there. So there are a few of the locust leaves left over. There's the downspout opening with a screen over it, and then you've got a little bit of stuff here, but I got the vast majority of it out. Again, that was the RainDrop system on the south side of the garage. Here we're looking at the solid gutter cover on the south side of the garage. You can see there's really nothing sitting on top of the cover itself, but the area where the debris has collected is inside the slot, or that channel across the front of the gutter. So I'm actually going to use a screwdriver to kind of pull that stuff out of that slot. I imagine some of it will go into the baggie, some of it will go into the gutter, but we'll try to capture as much of that as possible. And we'll calculate that as being material as if it were sitting on top of that system, because it is material to water going inside the gutter to capture it effectively. And if that slot gets clogged, then you're subject to issues with water overflowing this system. I'm going to remove the cover, the solid gutter cover here on the south side of the garage. I've scraped out most of the stuff out of the channel at the front, and we will reveal what's inside, if anything. Scrape that out, I'll put it into a baggie, and then we will weigh that and add it to the total of the stuff that we got out of this front channel right here. Here's the solid gutter cover panel, the underside of it, and you can see where some of the debris is kind of working its way through the front there. Like I said, I scraped most of that out already, so I'm gonna toss that to the ground, look inside here, and we'll see what we have. So a couple things here. You can see there's a bee right there. So it's not unusual for solid gutter covers. Bees and wasps and mosquitoes can go through those slots in the front or through the end caps, and they will build nests in there. In this particular case, not sure how far that guy got, because he's dead and he's just sitting on that piece of metal there. You can see a spider web through here. And in terms of the debris, you can see some small leaves off the locust tree, and you can see some of the dirt, a couple pine needles. So overall, I'd say it looks pretty good inside here. There's I think an oak leaf, maybe a maple leaf right there, a small one. So a little bit of dirt, that's just stuff that would have come off the roof, plus any of this material that may have decayed over the course of the year. Here's where the gutter downspout opening is, and you can see the dirt that's kind of built up on top of there. So it's all pretty loosely sitting there. As you see, I can just kind of swipe that away with my fingers. So we'll take this debris out, we'll add it to the total that we have for the stuff that was in the slot, and then we will come up with the total amount that was impacted by this. But overall, I'm pretty impressed that we don't have that much stuff inside here, and had this screen not existed, most of that stuff would have washed out without any problem. Okay, I cleaned out the inside of the gutter here with the solid gutter cover. You can see there's a little bit of dirt left. There might be a pine needle or two left in there, a couple leaves. But overall, I got 90+% of it, and that'll be good enough for this exercise. So this is the solid gutter cover, or was the solid gutter cover, on the south side of the garage. We'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to ding the bell and you'll be notified the next time we upload a video.